Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another Pub League Football Manager 2019 experiment. This one is a lot different from the first four episodes. Obviously, the first four episodes were centred around testing Scottish teams in the English leagues, in the top four English leagues. This one is going to be looking at Spanish teams. As you can see here, we've got the available jobs menu. Real Madrid are in the English Premier Division, so that's a bit of a giveaway as to who the first team is. We're going to be looking at four teams. Real Madrid are going to be the first one. The idea being, obviously with the Scottish teams, we were just seeing how they could do in all four divisions. The Spanish teams and the other European teams we'll look at, and maybe other world teams, we might add them in as well. They will be just tested in the top division. And if they get relegated really badly, like they finish on 0 points or something, which I don't suspect Real Madrid will, but other teams might, if that happens, then we might test them in lower leagues. It really just depends. But if the English league is so high and mighty, how will Real Madrid fare in a more competitive environment? That is really what we're testing here. To be honest, I'm not making this. I'm trying not to make this out as if I'm getting at the English or the English football fans or the people who say the English Premier Division is the best league in the world. Or it's just for interest's sake, okay? And I know I say that jokingly, and it's probably like, yeah, but you really just want to prove people wrong. Well, not really. What I want to do is just see how Real Madrid would fare in I want to say a more competitive league, because as everyone knows, anyone can beat anyone in the Premier League. Okay, the top six remain pretty much the same, but they do get beaten from time to time. In the Spanish league, Real Madrid and Barcelona seem to be the big two. That's kind of changed in recent years, as we've had the likes of Atletico Madrid and Sevilla are up there, but Atletico Madrid won the league in 2014. Let's have a look at season preview. So maybe that monopoly of those two is kind of disappearing, or isn't as strong as it used to be. But the point is, let's test them in this competitive environment and see how they do. As you can see, Real Madrid are predicted to finish comfortably at the top, ahead of Manchester City and Liverpool. In the media Dream 11, we've got several Real Madrid players, namely Ramos, Carvajal, Marcelo, Bale and Modric. This is the Real Madrid squad. As you can see, they got Thibaut Courtois, who was originally from Chelsea. Well, he's from Belgium, but he played for Chelsea for several years and has played for for Atletico Madrid, I should say. Raphael Varane, how good is he? Yeah, he's pretty good. He's what, French? Yeah, he's French. There's Gareth Bale, Isco, Asensio, Benzema. I'm just naming the players I can pronounce and the players I vaguely know. I don't follow Spanish football much, but it's kind of hard not to ignore Real Madrid, given the fact they've won 3 Champions Leagues on the bounce. First team to win 3 Champions Leagues on the bounce in its Champions League state, and the first to win 3 of the European Cups in a row since Ajax or Bayern Munich, I think, back in the 70s. Could be wrong. Anyway, so Real Madrid are predicted to finish top. As with the previous experiments, I will run the simulation once, we'll see how they do, and then we will run it another 9 times and get just an average, not an average, but an overview of how they have done. So as you can see from the first screen here, after the simulation finished, Real Madrid board happy with Champions Cup win. So yes, Real Madrid have managed to retain the Champions League for the, fourth year running now. That is incredible. They beat Tottenham Hotspur in the final. Obviously, that's not the main point of the experiment. The main point is to see how Real Madrid would do in the Premier League in England. And as you can see, they finished first. Not comfortable. It was only by a single point to Manchester City. Manchester United came in third on 85, so that's 3 teams with more than 80 points. Liverpool finishing down in 5th. They got... Wait, is that the European Championship Cup? They qualified for it. Is that because Real Madrid are either from Spain or because they won the Champions Cup? The Champions League, rather. Interesting. I really don't know. But as you can see, 5 teams have qualified for the Champions League. Real Madrid winning the league on 88 points, only losing 2 games, winning 26 and drawing 10. Was it expected? Well, yes, obviously. The season review said so. Season preview, I should say. Did we expect it to be more comfortable? I think on the balance of things, Real Madrid are not streets ahead of the likes of Manchester City and Manchester United. Maybe in years gone by they were, but I don't think they are today. Let's see how they did in the other competitions. So they won the Champions League, they won the Super Cup, they won the Club Championship, but the two trophies we're interested in are the FA Cup, in which they got knocked out in the semi-final by West Ham United, who eventually went to the final and lost to Tottenham Hotspur. Then in the Carabao Cup, they got knocked out in the fourth round to Tottenham Hotspur, who also went on to win the Carabao Cup. So Tottenham won the double there. How did Tottenham do the league? Okay, they finished 6th, as you would expect. Arsenal finished 7th. I should add, the team I took out of the Premier Division was, again, Huddersfield, purely because they were the lowest reputable team in the division. But as you can see, Tottenham won the double, finished 6th, got to the Champions League final. That is a great season for them. Maybe not so much in the league, but, I mean, Tottenham fans, I'm sure, would give anything for a season like this in real life. But the team we're most interested in, Real Madrid, they've won the league, didn't win the FA Cup though, didn't win the Carabao Cup though. But they won all the other European continental trophies, which is fair play. So I will simulate this another 10 times. Can Real Madrid continue their good form and win the league on the other 9 occasions? Who knows? We shall have to wait and see. So who is the second team, I hear you ask? Well, I think this is a bit of a giveaway. I wasn't really wanting to do Barcelona. Truth be told, I only wanted to do 3 teams instead of 4, but Real Madrid and Barcelona, they're a bit like, they're like opposites, but they attract each other, if you like, or something. You can't have yin without yang kind of thing. You can't have Real Madrid without Barcelona. So I figured that we might as well just see how they do in the Premier Division as well. Some would say Barcelona aren't as strong maybe as they used to be, but I mean they're still top of La Liga at the minute. Then again, some would say La Liga's not that good, but they still got some good players. I mean, Piqué, you can't be a bad player if you've won all those caps for Spain and won all the trophies that he's won. Let's have a look at the Premier Division. So currently Barcelona are second based on alphabetical order. According to the season preview, however, they are predicted to come first. 3-1 favourites to win the league ahead of Manchester City and Liverpool. As you can see, there's less of their team in the Dream 11. We've got Suarez, we've got Messi obviously, we've got Piqué, and we've got Jordi Alba, who's obviously a Scottish left back with a name like Alba. So, how did Barcelona get on in the English Premier Division? As you can see, something of interest on the front screen here, available jobs. Liverpool are listed, so are Bournemouth, which means Eddie Howe, I think. He must have gone, whether he got sacked or taken over. But look, as you can see, Barcelona hire Klopp as manager. So, did Liverpool sack Klopp, and then did he get picked up by Barca, who then sacked their manager previously? Or did Barcelona sack their manager and then pick up Klopp off Liverpool, who didn't sack him but just lost him to Barcelona? Who knows? It's all dramatic. If Barcelona sacked their manager, it means they may not have done as well as they were hoping to. Let's see what the final Premier Division table looks like. And there you have it. Now this is interesting. Barcelona did not qualify for the Champions League. I'm guessing that they don't qualify for it because they're not an English club and because they're Spanish. Yeah, that's it. They must not qualify based on the fact they're Spanish and not English. But then again, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 English clubs getting in the Champions League. That is so peculiar. But anyway, Barcelona finished behind Manchester United and City. Only by a couple of points though. 80 points to 81 and 82. So unlike Real Madrid, they couldn't win the league on their first attempt. Liverpool finished 6th, which is a bit disappointing from them. Newcastle finished 8th. I bet you their fans can only dream of that at the moment. No disrespect, of course. I want to see Newcastle doing well as well. Let's see what Barcelona did, or how they did in their other competitions. They got knocked out in the last 16 of the Champions League to Bayern Munich. Lost in the 4th round of the FA Cup to Preston North End. What a story that is. Then they were knocked out in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup to Arsenal. That is very, very peculiar stuff. I'm interested to see how their game against Preston North End went. Was that the FA Cup? FA Cup fourth round, they lost 2-1 to Preston. We can't review the game. We can't see who scored or anything, but it's just so peculiar. Anyway, so Barcelona fell vastly short of expectations in everything. They had a very disappointing season. We can have a brief look at who... I should have done this with Real Madrid, but I forgot. Messi came top of the average rating, of course. He came second top goal scorer. He only got 18 goals, it must be pointed out. Whereas in La Liga, he seems to get a lot more. Coutinho, Messi for the most assists. Maybe this is just Football Manager World. He doesn't get as many. I don't know. But it's very peculiar. So, the third Spanish team we're looking at is, as you can see here, Espanyol. Why have I chosen Espanyol? Well, they came mid-table of the La Liga in 2017-2018, so I thought they are probably a better team to use if we're trying to gauge how the English League compares to the Spanish League in terms of the teams and the difference in quality. So obviously we've had Real Madrid and Barcelona. They are the top of the pile. Now we're having someone kind of middle of the road. Espanyol, they're a good team. They got to the UEFA Cup final in, I think it was 2007. It was the one that was at Hampden Park, and it was won by Sevilla, but Espanyol got to the final as well. So they're not a bad team, but they're just not Real Madrid, Sevilla, Atletico, Barcelona level. They're mid-table, it seems. So, or maybe that was just how they finished previously. Let's actually have a look. I'm just checking their finishing positions, and as you can see, they don't get the top 10 that often. The year they won the UEFA Cup, I think, was 2006, 2007. Yeah, 2007. Espanyol finished runners-up in the Euro Cup in 1988 and 2007. So, when they qualified for it, it would have been that season there. They finished 15th. They must have won the Cup or something, the Copa del Rey or something, to qualify. Because they can't have qualified via league position. I don't know how it works in Spain, to be honest with you. I'm sure other people know more than I do. Right, let's have a look and see what the league is predicting. Season preview. So it's got Espanyol as finishing 10th, which I think was the position they finished in last season in La Liga. I think, well, we can check here. Okay, no, they finished 11th, but it's there or thereabouts, which would suggest, on first viewing, that the English League and the Spanish League are almost equal in terms of quality. But predictions are one thing, and fact is another. Obviously, this isn't fact, but it's as close as we're going to get to fact. But let's see how Espanyol will do in the Premier League. So, let's see how Espanyol did. As you can see... Oh, they got relegated. I was totally looking about for them in the middle of the table, but it seems that they weren't good enough to stay up. Well. A team that finished mid-table in La Liga were not able to stay in the top division of English football. That is interesting stuff. Can we get any clues as to why that was? There's a lot of transfers arranged, as you can see here. They seem to be going back to Spanish teams. That's a French team. That's interesting. I wonder if there's like certain rules, like registration rules, that don't allow Spanish teams to play their full team. I mean, it didn't really stop Real Madrid from winning the league or Barcelona from finishing third, but maybe for weaker teams there's less of a chance. I'm not sure what the registration rules are in England, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so as you can see, the squad registration rules are a minimum of 8 players trained in the same nation for 3 years before 21st birthday. I wonder if that means English or Spanish. I'm guessing it means England, and therefore, since these Spanish teams don't have any English players, they're not able to register a full squad of 25. But yeah, Espanyol have gone down. Again, that's possibly due to the rules. Oh, they got Jack Grealish though. I see. I just saw him at the bottom. They seem to have signed Jack Grealish from Villa for 16.5 million jigs. Do they have any other English players, I wonder? Now they got 2. Ben Godfrey, who was signed from Norwich for 11.5 million. I guess they were desperate. They just had to get anyone in. There's Naldo. Did they sign him, I wonder? Oh, he was already there. So I do believe that based on my way of doing this experiment, it's slightly flawed, because Espanyol are not able to register their entire team because they're not English. That's what I'm guessing, and that's why they signed English players. You've got to wonder now, did that affect the Scottish teams? Like, I'm guessing it's England, not the UK, so I'm guessing that Celtic and Aberdeen and St Johnstone and Hamilton, they didn't have enough English players to make up the quota. I wonder if they would have done better had they, been able to register all their players. That's very interesting. I never thought about that. I'm wondering if I should change it. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll run the experiment a few more times, or I'll run the simulation another 9 times, and I'll see how they do. We'll get on to our last Spanish team. I'm not going to change anything just yet, but I will have a think about this for future weeks. Right, so the final team that we are going to test in the Premier League in England is Real Valladolid, as you can see here. As you can see, they've got no English players, so yeah, they might struggle as well. The reason I chose them was because they were newly promoted, so they hadn't been in the league last season. Also, we actually played them in real life. St Johnstone, we played them in a pre-season friendly back in 2010. It was pretty hilarious because at one point they made about 8 subs, because obviously pre-season friendly, you can make as many subs as you want. They made a load of subs. The guy announcing the subs managed to pronounce all the names almost to perfection, which was he got a round of applause for. I think we won 1-0. They had a goal disallowed, which to me looked like it was over the line, and then we had a goal allowed that didn't look as convincing as their disallowed goal. But either way, the ref was probably closer to both pieces of play than I was, so yeah, fair play. I have seen this team play before, and I actually watched them on TV last season when they were in the playoffs, I believe it was. But anyway, we're going to see how they do in the Premier Division. Now, just before we start, let's have a look at the rules, the registration rules. So 25 players, 8 have to be from the same nation, so 25... take away, so 17, they can only have a total of 17 non-English players, which would surely hamper them a lot. The number of players they got in their squad is 29, so there's going to be 12 people on this list that don't quite make the squad. Who's their best player, actually? This guy's the most expensive. He's a keeper who, yep, I'm guessing most players have played for Barcelona or Real Madrid at some time. Interesting. Oh yeah, season preview. Let's see how the season preview... Oh, it's got them up right at the very bottom, so they don't think Valladolid are going to do anything noteworthy. So I wonder if they'll do as badly as some of the Scottish teams did. We shall see. Anyway, time to simulate the game, and I'll catch you in a bit. So there you have it. Valladolid went down as we expected, just above Cardiff City by a single point. What I'm thinking is, for the future experiments, for the future sims, because, yeah, spoilers, I haven't actually simmed any of them yet, apart from the one time I've shown you. I think what I might do is go into the editor file and change some of the players so that they're trained in England and see if that helps. I know that's kind of manipulating it, and I know it's not consistent with this first take, but then if I do 9 takes or 10 takes with the alteration, that might give us a better indication of how the teams would do, because the idea is we want the teams in their present form, in the form that they compete in the Spanish League. We want that team in the Premier League. We don't want that team but with limitations, or that team with English players, if you know what I mean. Not that there's anything wrong with English players, but that's not the point of the experiment. Anyway, that's how Valladolid did. I noticed we didn't actually see how Espanyol did in the Cups, but as you can see, Valladolid got to the 3rd round of the FA Cup, 2nd round of the Carabao Cup, both of them were won by Manchester clubs. Manchester's United in the FA Cup and City in the Carabao Cup. Who won the league, actually? The league was won by City, yeah. So with that, I'm going to go and reevaluate what I'm doing with this experiment. I'm going to see if I can make it fairer, and then I will come back to you with the final results. Welcome back. The results are in. I managed to simulate the game for all 4 teams, and there's a little bit of a difference this time compared with previous episodes. Obviously, in the previous clip I expressed my concern that the first 4 episodes, the tests from those, had been skewed by the fact that teams maybe couldn't make up the Premier League quotas and therefore maybe had smaller squads or inadequate squads to do well. Well, first and foremost, I checked out the 4 Scottish teams that I used in those 4 experiments, and I checked out their players. And I found, well, because I knew this Johnson team obviously, and I knew we had a fair amount of players that would qualify for those roles in the Premier League because they'd been trained in England for, what was it, like 3 years before the age of 21. So I knew we had a bunch of those players, which was important. I found out that Hamilton, Aberdeen and Celtic also had a fair amount of players too. Celtic were probably the ones that didn't have as many, but I mean that's okay. They probably are balanced at the stronger squad anyway. So I'm content with the results of the first four episodes. The Spanish teams was a slightly different story. Espanyol and Valladolid, they obviously didn't have, I don't think they had any players that had been trained in England. Real Madrid, obviously, the likes of Gareth Bale. Barcelona had, I think Gerard Piqué qualified because he was at Manchester United for a few years in his youth. But that's only 1 or 2 players. So what I've done is I split the tests into 2 sets. And the first 5 simulations were done with the teams as they were in the vanilla game. However, below the line here, the second 5 sims were done with modifications to player profiles. I modified the player profiles of the top players in each team to make it so they were trained in England before the age of 21. That would then enable them hopefully to register those players in the Premier League as well as all the rest of their squad, and so they'd have a bigger squad and they would have to sign as many players. That was the intention. I might have done it wrong, but let's have a look at the results. First of all, Real Madrid. They did win the league twice. They got a high points tally almost every single time, and by high I mean over, well, 79 was their lowest for much of the time, and then obviously they got 66 here. No idea what happened there. Maybe they were going for League Cup glory. They actually did well in the League Cup. Look at this. They won it 3 times. They got runners up. That is unbelievable. When it says won every other trophy, that basically means they won the Super Cup, the Euro Super Cup, that is, the Champions League and the World Club Cup. And as you can see, running down this, they did quite well in the Champions League. They got to the quarter-final, got to the semi-final, came runner-up. They came second in the European Super Cup a couple of times. They came third in the World Club Cup once. And I think they came runner-up in the World Club Cup here. We could maybe add that here. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's gone. It's too big. We're going to have to expand that slightly, I would say. And so yeah, that was Real Madrid. That was their progress. FA Cup they never won. They got as far as the semi-final. Not too much to note. As I said, they got top 4 every time except for the last sim where they just capitulated. And I think at one point or other, every team in the top 6 of England finished above them. So they really just meshed into that top 6 quite well. Barcelona, slightly differently, they won the league 3 times. Their lowest points tally, it looks like, was 75. I don't see anything that's lower than 75. That was when they also came 5th, but they came 6th with a 79 points tally. What? That's incredible. In the cups, they won the FA Cup, came runner-up a few times. They won the League Cup, because why not? Might as well win it when you can. They did get to the semi-final of the Europa League twice, the semi-final of the Champions League once. They didn't actually win the Champions League. Oh, they got runner-up, I just noticed that. So yeah, well, Real Madrid won the Champions League 3 times. They never won it once, so that's quite interesting. I wonder, and yet they won the league more, and they won the FA Cup more. In terms of the top half versus bottom half contrast between Real Madrid and Barcelona, there's not that much in the way of difference. If anything, well, Real Madrid, their best points tally came after I modified the players' profiles, but also their worst points tally came there. Barcelona seemed to have a lower average here. I don't know why, but they got above 83 times here, but above 80 only once here. So what does that say? It might say that their squad was good enough anyway to finish in the top 6 before I modified the profiles and that. I don't know. The real test comes with Espanyol, who were kind of our mid-table team, if you like. They got relegated 3 times. They got relegated the first time, which is what you saw, and that was when I kind of, there was that twinge in the back of my mind, wait a minute, things might not be right here. They got relegated 3 times, but then, after the change of player profiles, they never got relegated once, although their highest position did come before the change in profiles, and that was their highest points tally. They only got less than, okay, they got 34 points, they stayed up with 34 points. Yeah, I mean, is there really that much of a difference? Not really, apart from the fact they never fell to the bottom three. Their cup form wasn't great. I mean, I say it wasn't great, it was probably par. I mean, let's be honest, you don't always expect mid-table Premiership teams to be getting to the latter stages of tournaments. But that's how they did. They were mainly lower half Premiership, and Valladolid, yeah, they got relegated every single time. Sad thing is the player change, the change of data didn't make much of a difference, and as they finished bottom four times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row after the change of data. So what conclusions can we draw from this? Well, first and foremost, I think it's fair to say that in 2018-2019, Real Madrid and Barcelona are of the quality they would mesh into a top 6 in the English Premier League. There's always a question of, does the style of football in England lend itself well to Spanish teams? And obviously Spanish teams beat English teams in Europe, but that's kind of in Europe. I feel like things would be different if Real Madrid and Barcelona were playing week in, week out in England. Obviously England's becoming more technical these days, whereas in the past it was more it was more about your athletic ability, it was more about energy, that sort of a thing. But generally, I think this is a fair reflection on the current quality of Real Madrid and Barcelona. Maybe going back 3 or 4 years, Real Madrid and Barcelona would be, finishing first and second a lot more. I mean, they did finish first and second a fair amount. Look at Real Madrid, won the league twice, got second on 4 occasions. Barcelona won the league 3 times, got second once. So, they were finishing top 2, top 3, which is probably as expected. I just wonder if they would have won it more maybe 5 years ago, when they were at, very, very strong. Barcelona were arguably at their strongest back in like 2008 to 2012 when Guardiola was around. I wonder if they would have won the league every time, or most times. Espanyol and Valladolid, I half expected Espanyol to do better. Valladolid, I knew, were mainly a second-tier, first-tier yo-yo team, so I can see them getting relegated. That's probably a fair reflection. Espanyol, on the other hand, they got relegated 3 times, finished lower half the Premier League. It's also probably a fair reflection. I just feel, personally, the quality of the Spanish league, I don't think it's as bad necessarily as people make out. Although clearly, what we can conclude by this is a mid-table Spanish team would be, lower half Premier League, which there isn't that much of a difference. I mean, we're talking about a few places. So the question is, will I get another chance to do this? It's kind of hard to see if this experiment is actually fair. If it's maybe ethical, not ethical, but you know what I mean, if it's good towards the experiment, if I do change the player data. I'm not sure if I should have done it or not. That's why I conducted 5 sims for each, so that we could get a view either way. But as I said, the only difference came with Espanyol, and even then the difference wasn't that massive. So in future I might just leave things the way they are with the current teams. I don't think that's a huge deal, but we'll see. Anyway, next time we will be away to another, assuming there's a next time, assuming I don't just give up because of this. Next time we will be moving to another European country, and we will be testing some of those teams, in the English Premier Division. Until then, thank you very much for watching this experiment. Of course, take this with a pinch of salt. It's not really truth. It is a video game after all. It's meant to be a very accurate video game or simulation of real life, but obviously we'll never really know how these teams would do in the English Premier League. But yeah, thank you and good night.